Hello to you dwellers and welcome. I'm the Arcadean and this is Magic the Gathering lore. Today by request we're looking at Nicol Bolas. Now there is a lot of information about this guy, stories have been written over decades, so we're not going to cover it all, but we're going to try to hit the main points so that we can figure out who Nicol Bolas is and where he currently is and what he's up to in the lore at this moment in time. So, let's make a start. Nicol Bolas is an elder dragon, one of the most powerful planeswalkers in existence, and possibly the oldest being alive. He's a master of black, blue, and red magic, and can manipulate people's minds, including driving them literally insane with just the lightest touch. He calls himself, and I quote, "The Mind Ripper, the Deathbringer, the winged dark that terrifies your dreams, the first to witness the sun rise on Dominaria, and the last to watch it set for the final time." Which makes him sound less like a walking apocalypse and more like a Hot Topic shopper, but remember this is a dragon the size of a small mountain, so maybe don't make fun of him too loudly. Alright, so Nicol Bolas is an elder dragon and a planeswalker. But what does that mean exactly? Let's start with the elder dragons. They were, as the name suggests, dragons, but special ones. They lived on a plane called Dominaria, and unlike most dragons who are born bestial, elder dragons are hatched fully conscious, instinctively knowing their own names. They are also insanely powerful, rivaling even planeswalkers. However, only 7 of them are currently alive, the others having all been killed off during the Elder Dragon War, which we'll touch on a little later. So that's the elder dragons. What about the planeswalkers? A planeswalker, simply put, is a being who contains the planeswalker spark, which, when ignited by events of great stress, such as dying, unlocks the potential to travel throughout the various planes of existence within the multiverse. This spark is restricted to sentient beings, and its existence and igniting is basically a 1 in a billion thing. When Nicol was born, planeswalkers were also much more powerful than they are now, being akin to living gods. On top of all that, Nicol Bolas is the spawn of the Ur-Dragon, who is basically the dragon, the primordial essence from which all dragonkind springs. Neat. He was actually a twin, he and his brother Ugin being hatched from the same egg, and both of them being the runts of the litter, half the size of their siblings. Now their upbringing wasn't easy. As well as being mocked for being smaller and weaker, when they were young they also witnessed their sister, Merevia Sal, being killed by humans and their hounds. Now this event was partly responsible for Nicol acquiring the notion that the multiverse was a place of hunters and the hunted, and encouraged him to learn about humans and how to manipulate them, eventually resulting in his turning them against each other and using that to seize control, declaring himself supreme leader over the surrounding lands. And now we get to the Elder Dragon War. Remember that thing I mentioned earlier that left only 7 Elder Dragons alive? Yeah, that was Nicol Bolas. A bunch of dragons decided to invade his territory, and he figured that genocide was a measured response. By manipulating the various dragon clans, he managed to turn them against each other, and the result was just not pretty. Dragon and humankind alike were killed, devoured, or enslaved, while Bolas sat back and waited to pick up the pieces. It nearly worked, too. Only the interference of his brother Ugin prevented Bolas from conquering all of Dominaria. Ugin was a planeswalker by this point, and Bolas' rage and envy ignited his own spark and, pop, he planeswalked away. This started a multiversal battle between the two brothers that lasted generations, until, finally, they clashed one last time above the waters of the Meditation Realm, and Nicol Bolas killed his brother. The tidal waves caused by Ugin's fall threw Nicol Bolas out of the realm and through dozens, perhaps hundreds of planes, before he wound up back on Dominaria again. And it's at this point that his story properly begins. Now, as I said at the beginning, there are decades worth of stories written about Nicol Bolas, so trying to cover everything that's happened to him is gonna just be way too confusing. We're not doing that. But I do highly advise everybody to check out the excellent stories that Wizards of the Coast have commissioned and published, many of which are completely free. Links in the description box below. To understand how Nicol Bolas fits into the current events of Magic the Gathering, though, here's what you need to know. A while back, the multiverse was almost destroyed by temporal rifts. Almost because a planeswalker called Jeska managed to stop it from happening. In the process, however, she changed the nature of the Planeswalker's spark, making it significantly weaker than it was originally. This, obviously, annoyed Bolas, who, amongst other things, lost the ability to retain much of his 25,000 years worth of arcane knowledge. He'd always had a thing for conquering and enslaving, but now his tyrannical pursuits took on a new focus. He would control entire planes, and use them as tools in his quest to regain his lost power. Now, incidentally, he hasn't gone unopposed. Many creatures have tried to stop him, some even successfully, if temporarily. Of recent note, a group of extremely powerful planeswalkers called the Gatewatch, comprised of Gideon, Chandra, Nissa, Jace, and Liliana, attacked him en masse, and were immediately and easily defeated. Like, just embarrassingly quickly. So there you have it, a mountain-sized dragon that literal gods are terrified of, heading towards Ravnica in search of something that will allow him to reclaim his lost power. The forces of good are scrambling to stop him, but can they succeed given how easily they were beaten the last time? Or is this perhaps all part of Nicol Bolas' plan?